Well, let's begin there, guys. Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to bring you another episode of my weekly Q&A series titled The People's Questions, where I answer a series of questions that have been sent to me over the past week. For this particular episode, I think we got like 6 questions. We did get a bit more, but like always, if you sent in a question in the last episode, you don't hear it in this video, then be sure to either check your notifications or be sure to check the comment section for the last video, because chances are I answered them there. So starting off real simple with the first question coming from Fiji Water, and you want to know, what made me want to answer questions from subscribers in the first place, and how did that turn into a weekly series? Well, all the way back when I started my channel like almost 8 years ago, the original structure of my channel was actually inspired off of another YouTuber's channel structure, and they had a Q&A series where she had a Q&A series that she would do almost weekly. She hasn't done one in a long time, so I just kind of figured, oh well, I guess it'd be fun to answer questions, and ever since then we've just made it a pretty weekly thing to just answer questions from people who watch the channel. So that's really how it all started. Believe it or not, some of you might, not sure how many of you actually remember this, all the way back then. Back then, I used to have like a weekly contest that if you could answer a certain question, I would actually send you a code for either, Xbox or PlayStation Network, and I would actually do that for like a whole year. So I gave like hundreds of dollars worth of PlayStation and Xbox credit cards. But I don't do that anymore. But that was an interesting time. Next question comes from Shadow Decis Gaming, and you want to know, Punisher versus Jack Krauser. Punisher, easy. Punisher if Punisher can contend with super beings that are far more threatening than Krauser, then I don't really see Krauser being much of a challenge. I mean, if Leon could dispatch him pretty easily and Ada could too, then Frank Castle could easily take Jack Krauser down. Next question comes from Will Williams, and you want to know, how would I rate the 3 movies from the Matrix series from worst to best? Well, I would go in reverse. The worst one is Matrix Revolution, then it's followed by Matrix Reloaded, and the best one is obviously the first Matrix. I mean, I don't know how else you could order that series. I don't think anyone would question that the first one is the best film, and they just got progressively less and less great as the series went on. Next question comes from Merciless Forerunner, and you want to know, do I think that Jill will make a return in Resident Evil 9, and do I think it is necessary? Unfortunately, Merciless, I don't really think we will ever see Jill Valentine again. With the direction that it looks like Capcom is going, I think the only time we will see Jill again is probably in the Resident Evil 3 remake, which I'm sure they're going to do after the success of the Resident Evil 2 remake. But my question is, why are you saying 9? That's weird. I mean, have you ever gotten there's no Resident Evil 8, so what makes you think that she's going to appear in 9? I mean, I have a feeling that since 7, I don't even think 7 really has any real connections to the main series. It felt like its own different game. So I think when it comes to the main series of games, they might want to continue with that whole first-person shooter perspective, and they'll probably use a different character. But moving forward, I don't really think we'll see any more traditional characters come back in any significant way. I think the only time we will see them again is if they remake older games, which I think is probably, at least for me, the better approach. Next question comes from Blaring C89, who had the longest question, but your question was, if a guy were to walk up to me and hold out his hand and show me 2 pills, I'd tell him to get the hell out of here because I don't do drugs. But he had a red pill that gives me the ability to pull my favorite video game / anime character into our world, or take the blue pill and get teleported into my favorite video game or anime world. Which one would I pick and why? I wouldn't pick either one of those. That's a horrible decision. Why would you ever want to do such a thing? If I take the red pill and I take one of my favorite characters out of one of my favorite anime or video game worlds, then they're not there to do their job. So that's a bad decision, and it's vice versa. Why the hell would I want to go over to their world? I mean, I'm not those characters, so I don't have their abilities. I mean, as interesting as it would be to visit Spira for Final Fantasy X, I mean, I wouldn't want to be around any major cities. I mean, there's fiends. I mean, think about this. Think about Spira. There are fiends everywhere you go, and on top of that, you have to deal with Sin popping out and just killing people en masse. I mean, that is a horrible place to visit, and I wouldn't say any other Final Fantasy world would be much better. I mean. So, yeah, Blaring C, I would tell that guy to get the hell out of here and go talk to someone else. I wouldn't pick either one of those choices. And the last question of the episode comes from Phantom Sidious. He wants to know, if the Versus series ends, what kind of new content / future projects would I like to create for the channel? You know, that is a really good question, Phantom Sidious. I'm not even sure what I want to do myself. I mean, this is kind of the... this is something that I think this is a better question for you guys. Because originally, the Versus series, I only started the Versus series because when I was watching it way back before I started, those type of videos were popular. And so I thought it would be interesting to kind of take the models from the channels that I watch to do the Versus series and just apply them to other franchises outside of Star Wars. That's where that whole concept came from. But as you know, as the series has gone on and less people have watched, it's, you know, obviously it seems like the Versus series has run its course. So now the question is, what is with me definitely wanting to be a much more focused gaming channel, I'm still trying to figure out what can I do to help bring in more people and help bring them in faster, or what's popular in the gaming community. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So yeah, I don't know, but you know, once I finish these last two matchups and then I have a lot of time to think about it, I'll be sure to come to you guys and ask what type of content that you would like to see that you know would help grow the channel exponentially. So that'll do it for this episode of the People's Questions. I'd like to thank the 6 of you that sent in your questions that made it into the video, as well as everyone else that posted their questions in the comment section that I answered in the comment section of the last video. If you guys have any more questions you would like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below. But make sure to get them in to me roughly around Wednesday before noon before I start filming the next episode. And also make sure it's only one question per person, and if you want to increase your odds of having them added to the video, just make sure they either stand out or quite interesting. And with that out of the way, I would like to thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.